What is going on, guys? Calvin Khara here with the Khara Real Estate Group, and today I'm going to be talking about the recent changes to the residential tenancy rules. Specifically, we're talking about vacant possession of property when a seller is selling a tenanted property here in Vancouver. So on July 18th, the NDP government introduced new legislation increasing the notice period that a owner needed to give a tenant for vacant possession. It used to be that a seller had to give the tenant 2 months notice to vacate the property, and as of July 18th, that doubled to 4 months notice. And this sent shockwaves through the housing industry, as it seemed that no industry professionals were really consulted when these new rules were brought into effect. And we were definitely a little bit interested and nervous to see how these new rules were going to affect the process of buying and selling real estate, especially when it came to tenanted properties. So as of July 18th, it would go if a buyer purchased a property that was tenanted. Once all of the conditions were satisfied, the buyer would then serve the seller a notice for vacant possession, and the completion date would need to be 4 months out from the time that notice was served. Now, these rules were brought into effect originally in order to prevent unlawful evictions of tenants, and also to give them ample time to find a new place to live, especially in the very tight rental market that we are seeing here in Vancouver. But what's happening is that it actually backfired, and it really became a headache for home buyers trying to purchase tenanted properties. One example is rate holds. Banks would typically hold a mortgage rate for a home buyer for 120 days, and this is just a typical number. But with the 4-month gap that the buyers had to give the tenant before they would get vacant possession of the property, that rate hold would actually expire, rendering their financing useless, and they would have to go through that whole process again. So that's just one caveat that we saw with the 4-month notice period. So as of August 21st, after some further consultation with industry professionals and the housing industry, the NDP government has changed the notice period from 4 months down to 3 months. And I think this is a happy medium. It's an acceptable time for buyers and sellers to complete on the purchase and sale of property. And I think it gives tenants enough time to find a new place to live. So now, as of August 21st, if a buyer intends on purchasing a property and occupying it for personal use, the buyer must now give written direction to the seller to provide a notice of vacant possession to the tenant and give them a 3-month notice. If you have already given the 4-month notice to a tenant when those rules were in effect, you still have to stick to the 4 months. You cannot now serve them a 3-month notice in order to shorten down that timeline. So we'll keep an eye on these new rules and see if there's any further updates. I believe it's a happy medium for everybody. It's an acceptable time for buyers and sellers to complete on a transaction so that the sellers can get their money in a timely fashion and perhaps purchase another property. And it keeps the buyers from having their rates expire on them, and making sure that they get into their new place in a proper manner, and that the tenants have enough time to find a place for themselves to live. If you've enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel for more real estate market updates, tips, tricks, and news. If you are thinking about making a move yourself, give us a call using the contact information in the description. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you at the next one.